We have seen that hypothesis-driven problem structuring is fast and efficient, but also risky. Starting from a candidate solution sounds good, but it might blind you to better ideas. In most situations, it's safer to adopt the issue-driven path. After all, in the state phase, you have formulated a core question, haven't you? So you can start from there and treat that question as an open issue. Of course, even a well-stated question is often too big to be answered in one go. So before actually solving the problem, you must structure the question by disaggregating the core question into simpler components. The tool to do this is an issue tree. To build your issue tree, start with your core question and break it down into smaller questions or issues that you can tackle one by one. You will then split these issues into more detailed sub-issues, and so on. The process continues until you get to elementary questions that you can answer by analyzing actual data. These elementary questions will tell you exactly which data must be gathered and which analysis must be performed. You can represent these successive breakdowns as ramifications of the issue tree, which is an organized list of all the questions you must answer to solve your problem. The process of disaggregation looks similar to the one you use when building a hypothesis pyramid. However, there is a key difference. In an issue tree, the branches are not hypotheses, they are questions that end with question marks. Let's take an example. Suppose your core question is something like, how can we increase profits? You have to build an issue tree. What could your issues be? Pause the video for a minute and try to draw the issue tree. Are you done? You probably thought of the simplest answer. It is to break down the question into two issues, how to increase revenues and how to reduce costs. In turn, you can divide the revenue issue into sub-issues. For instance, if your business is generated with a number of different customers, you might ask, can we increase revenues per customer and by how much? And can we increase the number of customers and by how much? You can do the same for the cost issue by considering various items in the cost structure. The questions you ask at each level of the issue tree must be MICI, mutually exclusive and collectively exhaustive. Mutually exclusive questions do not overlap. You can consider them one by one. Collectively exhaustive questions cover the whole scope of the underlying issue. Nothing is missing. If your issue tree is not MICI, you might overlook something important while repeating overlapping analysis, which might lead you to incomplete or contradictory findings. You can structure the same problem around different issue trees. But the first MICI breakdown that comes to mind might not be really insightful. Try to challenge it and to find a better one. The best issue trees ask insightful questions that will help you find actionable solutions. For example, breaking down the profit question into revenues and costs is straightforward, but it's not really insightful. It is MICI on paper, but it may not be MICI in practice. Once you get to ideas to increase revenues, many of them might create extra costs. And many of the cost-cutting initiatives you will think of might actually have a negative impact on revenues. Depending on the situation, a more insightful breakdown might be to think like a strategist. A core principle of strategy is that firm performance is determined both by external factors and by internal factors. This would lead you to formulate different issues. For instance, what changes are there in the industry, and how can we change our competitive position and business model? This could help you generate very different, perhaps more interesting and actionable ideas. Once you have structured your problem, you're ready to solve it. We will discuss the solve step in the next videos. Stay tuned.